Marginal cost, the printing press. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to calculate marginal cost, which in English is called marginal cost or simply MC. We'll start with a simple and very intuitive example, and from there, we'll build the full picture. Let's suppose we have an economy with a printing press. This press produces books, and we have a production function that describes how many books can be produced depending on the number of workers operating the machine. With one worker, the output is 1,000 books. 2 workers produce 2,200 books. 3 workers produce 3,000 books. This is the total output of books, known as the total product. Additionally, we know that the wage for each worker is 8,000 shekels. Pay attention and write down this data: wage per worker, 8,000 shekels. Now, what is marginal product? Marginal product is the difference between 2 consecutive levels of total output. In other words, it's how much additional output each extra worker brings. The first worker contributes a marginal product of 1,000 books. The second worker adds another 1,200 books, because 2,200 minus 1,000 equals 1,200. The third worker adds 800 books, because 3,000 minus 2,200 equals 800. The fourth worker adds 700 books, because 3,700 minus 3,000 equals 700. And so on. What do we see here? At first, the marginal product rises, the second worker contributes more than the first. But starting from the third worker, the marginal product begins to decline. The third, fourth, and fifth workers' marginal products keep decreasing. This is the law of diminishing marginal product. In fact, by the time we reach the 11th worker, the marginal product becomes negative, meaning adding another worker actually harms production. Now comes the central part. We have the marginal product of each worker, and we have the wage per worker, 8,000 shekels. If we divide the wage by the marginal product of each worker, we find the marginal cost of producing 1 unit, in our case, 1 book. Let's do the calculation. For the first worker, 8,000 divided by 1,000 equals 8 shekels per book. For the second worker, 8,000 divided by 1,200 equals 6.7 shekels per book. For the third worker, 8,000 divided by 800 equals 10 shekels per book. And for the fourth worker, 8,000 divided by 700 equals 11.4 shekels per book. What do we observe? At first, when the marginal product was rising, the marginal cost per unit actually fell, from 8 shekels down to 6.7 shekels. But once the marginal product started to decline, from the third worker onward, the marginal cost began to rise, 10 shekels, then 11.4 shekels, and it continues to increase as more workers are added. Here's the key principle: marginal cost is defined as the wage per worker divided by that worker's marginal product. And as production quantity grows, marginal cost rises. Why? Because when marginal product decreases, each additional worker produces less, but we pay them the same wage, the cost to produce each additional unit goes up. An important point: we are not including fixed costs here. Fixed costs, for example, the cost of purchasing the printing press, are not considered in the short run. In the short run, only variable costs are included in the calculation of marginal cost per unit. The machine has already been bought, and we cannot change that cost in the short run. So, marginal cost per unit tells us how much it costs to produce each additional unit, each extra book, as we increase production. For example, when production is 4,850 books, the cost to produce 1 more book is 14.5 shekels. And if we increase production to 4,980 books, each additional book will cost us 61.5 shekels. This difference is dramatic, and it's exactly because of the law of diminishing marginal product. Let's summarize what we've learned so far. We have a production function that describes how many books are produced based on the number of workers. From the production function, we calculated the marginal product of each worker. Then, by dividing the wage by the marginal product, we found the marginal cost of producing each book. The relationship is inverse: when marginal product rises, marginal cost falls; when marginal product falls, marginal cost rises. And because of the law of diminishing marginal product, beyond a certain point, marginal cost will always increase. This relationship between diminishing marginal product and rising marginal cost is one of the most important principles in economics, and it will be the foundation for building the supply curve that we will study later.